Okay, I'm back. I have finished writing my SD card. I had a problem when the scene was paused. Basically, those annoying pop-ups came back where I was like in the middle of writing to the card, and the auto-mounting service suddenly decided that there was a file system there, and it auto-mounted it, and then it, put it up onto the screen. And I think it corrupted the card, so I ended up having to rewrite the card from scratch. So let me just show you real fast within this video how to disable that service. It's sudo system control, start with status, and then type udisks2.service. For me, I already disabled this to get it working, so what happened? No. Enabled. No, I already stopped it. Basically, you just want to do stop to temporarily stop it. And then if we go back to status, it's still enabled. That just means that it'll come back on for the next boot. Okay, so if your SD card corrupted or anything like that, you probably want to start over after you disable udisks. And then if we use the partition editor again, we can see that SDB is still there, so that's still considered the name of our card. So now that let's see, now that the auto mounter is not doing anything for us, we need to mount the card ourselves. So I'm going to go into CD, actually just to double check, media, and then mic, and then notice how it's not mounted. So I'm going to go into CD, I'm going to go into the temporary directory, I'm going to go into that Pi directory. I think I probably made that earlier on camera for you. And then I made two other directories, one called boot and root. So I'm just going to mount the, dev SDB partition 1, which is usually the boot partition, to the boot folder. Do my password, and then do the same thing for partition 2, which is usually the file system root folder. So first thing we need to do is go into the boot partition. So this is what the Pi will see when it boots up. Yeah, okay. So what we need to do is make an empty file called SSH in the boot folder, or the boot partition, because we want to tell the Pi that its SSH server should be enabled by default. So I'm going to go sudo touch SSH. If I list it again, notice how there's just an SSH folder and that's it. There's nothing inside of it. The Pi just knows. The other thing we have to do is modify the startup command line here. I already did this actually when I jumped away. I added another video. Basically, you want to edit the cmdline.txt file, and then you want to find the argument that says root wait. And right after that, you want to stick the IP address that you want your Pi to start up as, or start up with. So it's IP equals, and then the address. And then again, like we said before in this video, you need to know what is the subnet of your existing network, and you need to choose an IP address for your Pi. Let's see if I actually matched what I was supposed to do. Oh gosh, for the Pi. Yeah, 5.1. Okay, so I'll move that over to the first thing there. Yeah, so just 123 is what we wanted, so that's why that is there. So I didn't actually modify this, but you'll have to modify yours. I didn't because I have to because I already did it. And then we'll go into the root partition. So we'll go into the root partition, and notice how it's got like all the files and folders that you're used to seeing with Linux. So that means, this is the temporary mount /temp/pi/root. Inside of it, there's a subfolder called home, and then there's the home directory for the root account under the root folder. You could modify that instead if you want to. I'm just going to go into the home account, the home folder, and then go into the Pi accounts home folder. So notice how there's a bunch of like starter files, because that's what your Pi account is going to start off with. Again, notice how we're in like a deeper subdirectory. So from the Pi's perspective, we're really only in /home/Pi. I already actually did this when I jumped away. I wanted to make an extra video for SSH, for first boot stuff. So I made the SSH folder. What you need to do is make directory.ssh so that you have a SSH folder in this Pi folder. Then once you have that, go inside of it, and you want to make a file called authorized keys. So I did nano authorized keys like that, and then I edited it, and I just put the public key of the machine that I'm currently on right now. This is just a virtual machine, so I guess it's fine if I share. But What you want to do is generate your own SSH key. If you don't know how to do that, see my other videos. But you can print out your SSH key with pretty much cat squiggly line or tilde Swinton, and then like a slash, and then .ssh, and then ID, and then .pub. So that was my public key. That's how I found it. And then, you know, if you don't have a key, you can go ahead and do this on your host. SSH keygen. Forgot if I put this into the last segment, but you type that and you hit enter a bunch of times. And when you're done hitting enter enough, you'll have your public key there somewhere. You probably want to eventually learn how to put a password on your key, but it's fine for now. So we created the authorized keys file. That basically tells the operating system that I would like that particular key to be able to authenticate as that user. And since the Pi is a God user or like a root user, it's pretty nice. The other thing we have to do is make sure that we set permissions correctly. If the permissions aren't correct on any of these files or folders, your SSH will not authenticate. So I'm going to make sure that this is set to the right permissions. For me, I usually do 700 on the authorized keys file. I can't remember if 600 is fine, so I just put 7. That basically means that your current user, which will eventually be the Pi user, has full permission to look at that file, but nobody else does. So you can tell, by the way, because on the left, there's just like a read, write, execute, and then a bunch of empty dashes, meaning nobody else has permissions. So we got to do the same thing for the SSH folder. So I'm going to go, you know, chmod. If this doesn't work by itself, you might want to say sudo chmod, but I think it'll work because the username that it thinks is on that folder is actually the same as my current user, which is great. So I'm going to go chmod 700.ssh. I know for sure you need the 7 and not the 6 on there, meaning the current user should be able to actually like read that directory. If it's 6, they won't even be able to read the directory. So we do that just to make sure that the .ssh file and the authorized keys file have correct permissions. And then I think we're ready to log into the Pi for the first time. So I'm going to go up. By the way, if you were inside of root for some reason, I do this sometimes, sudo su root, and then I'm like, oh, let's go up and let's go up and then let's unmount, let's unmount this boot partition or the root partition. You may get an error message saying that the partition is busy, because what you didn't realize was the account that you just came from is still considered in that directory. So you got to make sure that there are no terminals or accounts or anything actually using that directory before you try to unmount it. So I'm going to go sudo, I got to go up one level, sudo unmount boot umount, and then umount root. If there are no error messages, then that means the SD card is ready to be put into the actual Pi. Before I do that though, I'm going to start pinging the Pi because it's fun to see the pings come online. I'm going to go 192.168.1.123 because that's what we chose for the Pi already. In my other video that I just made, I typed like a 0.123 and I sat here forever on camera. I'm not going to edit it out. So I'm going to take the SD card out, and you can't really see my Pi because it's plugged into an Ethernet cable, but I'm plugging an Ethernet cable into the Pi. I'm putting the SD card into the Pi, and then I'm going to plug power into the Pi. Totally headless. Don't have to worry about very much at all. So it's got power now. It's like falling off the desk, and pretty soon now it should start responding to pings. As soon as it comes up, I'm going to log in and start finalizing the Ethernet setup. There it goes. Might take like a few more seconds after this before the SSH server actually comes up, but I'm going to give it a try right now and see what happens. And remember to do pi at, because we did not make a different user. When you see this message right here, it just means that the remote is not recognized. That's a security feature, so I'm going to put yes. And now we're in the Pi. So what I was supposed to do is Network Manager connection show. At least this version of the Pi, the latest version, uses Network Manager. If you're watching this video from the distant future, you probably just need to, use whatever tool they have instead of Network Manager. So I'm going to edit the Ethernet connection, and I'm going to print the connection details just to double check here. It's, I guess it's fine. So now I'm going to set up the IPv4 settings. So I'm going to go set IPv4 .method to manual, because I want a static IP. Getting dynamic IPs that are also fixed is kind of like another video. I want to set the address to the one that we just put into the command line, so 1.123, and give it a 24 block, meaning it'll be considered in the same subnet with other addresses that only have the last number changed. Then we'll set the gateway to 1.1, which is the router address. Okay, I'm looking at notes right now, 1.1. And then we'll set the DNS. You don't actually necessarily need to set the DNS if you're, well, I don't know, maybe you probably should if we're doing static right now. Yeah, you should probably maybe try setting the DNS as your router, because usually your router is also your DNS server at home. If that doesn't work, maybe try a different number that you can find online. This one is, I think, Google DNS. You just need at least one DNS server, preferably 2 or more, that work, so you can resolve numbers to names and your computer can go online by typing names. So for me, these are my DNS servers, so I'm just going to type them in real fast. Whoops. And then you don't need to do this next setting, but I like to be able to use shorter server names. So for me, instead of typing, let me show you what this means in a second. So I'm going to say my search domain is home, because I have a fake domain at home called home. Most people do LAN. You should probably double check this by saying print IPv4, like print IPv4. And then after we're done, we'll say save, and then we'll quit. And then the reason I do this is if I ping a server, like let's say I do router.home, for me that's too much typing every single time. If I added that .home search domain, then I could just ping router. And so that's the only reason that I do that. It's just a little bit more convenient. So now let's remove the setting that we put into the command line so that we have more freedom to modify the network in the future if we want to. So let's go to the boot partition. We're in the Pi right now, so it's a little bit different. We'll go into the firmware subfolder, and then we'll modify that command line file that we had in before, where we were forcing that IP. We'll just erase this so that it's no longer forced, because the network manager configuration we just did should be okay. And then let's reboot the machine. Do another ping so that I can get online as soon as it comes back up. Should just take a couple seconds here. So how was your day? How are you? I think somebody let me know if I look weird in this camera, because I have like a new camera with like a viewfinder, or not a viewfinder, like an LCD display. I didn't used to have that before. I had the oldest, cheapest, crappiest camera you could possibly imagine. Now it's just kind of cheap. But I can see my face in the view in the LCD, screen. So I'm looking at my own face right now instead of the camera. So tell me if this seems strange or weird to you. Okay, so I'm back. I don't know where I cut the last video, but basically we had just set a static IP address on the Pi and then rebooted it, and it didn't come back online. So I had to stop the video and just try to figure out what I did wrong. And basically I forgot to tell the connection to start on boot. So what I did to fix it is I went into the SD card again. So I did another mount. I didn't mount the boot partition. I only needed to mount the root partition. And the path that you go into is pretty much this. If you're using Network Manager, you go into your temporary mount, so that's this first part right here, temp pi root, and then the file system from the Pi's perspective, this is the path where you can find your system connections. So etc. Network Manager, system connections. Inside of it, you'll see a file for every connection that you set up on the fail that you just did, or that I just did. Maybe this will prevent you from failing. Maybe I'll show you how to set that inside of the Pi too, just to be sure. So basically, we're just going to edit that connection file. There's a bunch more stuff down below, but I just kind of spaced that down so you won't see it. What you're really interested here in this connection file is auto connect. It should have been set to true. And now if we do that, we should be able to unmount the card and boot the Pi back up, and then it should go online. This is actually kind of like maybe a good reminder to always include redundancies as a good computer nerd, right? Computer scientists, computer nerds, we always like have redundancies in everything. What I should have done is chose a different IP address for the network manager connection. That way, if I screwed it up, the Pi would still boot under the first address, and only after seeing that it booted with the new address, I could have removed the first address. But you know, I'm a little impatient and careless sometimes. So I'm going to unmount this root partition, and we'll go back to looking at the pings, right? That's the correct ping. I'm going to remove the SD card from the reader. I'm going to put it back into the Pi, and then I'm going to plug in the power. Okay, now hopefully it won't take long before the Pi comes back online. If it never does, you and me are going to be sitting here. Oh, please, come on. What have I done wrong? Okay, it works this time. So it was definitely the auto connect. So now I'm going to go SSH into the Pi. We already saw that security warning, I think, either in this video or the other video, but what have I done? I forgot to put the 1 there again. Dumb. Okay, so we're in the Pi. First boot, first connection without even using a computer monitor. Pretty sweet. So now I'm going to go sudo network manager command line show, and then I'm going to edit the Ethernet connection just to show you what we should have set before we saved. It would have been connection.autoconnect. So I should have said connect, set connection.autoconnect, connect to yes. That didn't change anything, but that's what I should have done. I mean, it would have changed something before. So now we're inside the Pi, and we're ready to start setting up more stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is, well, I'd like to change the host name on this Pi. So I'm going to do sudo nano etc hostname. There's a command called hostname I think you can use, but I just like to set it in the file. So basically we want to set the hostname of the Pi. That's not terribly useful for now, but I just like it because it shows up on the command line. So I'm going to go Pi repeater .livingroom.home. Don't judge me for my silly domain names. So now the next time we reboot the Pi, we'll have a good domain name. Then I'm going to do an update. So I'm going to do, actually, you know what you should do at home, I'm going to omit this just to save time. You should say sudo apt update for sure. Everybody should do that because the local list of packages that are available needs to be updated. Otherwise, you might have a hard time installing later. It sometimes gets out of sync and it doesn't work. So we'll all do update. At home, you should do upgrade right away. I'm not going to do upgrade right now because it'll take a long time. And then after you do upgrade, you should do auto remove with a -yes there, or just type yes manually. Again, I'm not going to do that until the camera's off. And then you should reboot the computer or reboot the Pi. Then let's install a program called Screen, which gives us a virtual screen. Let me show you just real fast what this is for. So sudo apt install Screen. It's just basically a virtual screen that you can work on. So if you accidentally lose your connection or something goes wrong, you can log back in and get right back to your work. So I type screen here, and I'll just type like a bunch of random characters. And then I will detach from the screen and exit the Pi. So imagine you lost your internet connection or your network connection. I can go back into the Pi now, and I can list screens with screen-list, and then I can reattach to it with a -R. Notice how my work is still there. This doesn't survive if the whole machine reboots, but this has saved me a few times from losing work when I was connected to a remote terminal. Okay, so now what do we have to do? The next most important thing that we have to do is install our Wi-Fi dongle. We have to actually install drivers. If you're looking at this video way in the future, I don't know, maybe the Pi will handle this. But right now, as of, the making of this video, this dongle doesn't work unless you install the drivers from source. So let me just prove to you real fast. How can I show the internet adapters without, well, maybe you'll just have to trust me. At home, do this command, do this command, IPADDR, and hit enter. And you should see two network adapters. You should see Ethernet 0 and also wireless LAN 0. Wireless LAN 0 should be already working. It's not connected yet, but it's working because, well, that's the one that's built into the Pi. You want also another one. You want wireless LAN 1 like we talked about before. For that, we have to plug in the dongle and install the firmware. So I think what I'm going to do now is stop this video and jump into another one where I just kind of talk about how to install this dongle. So by the time you watch this video, that other video should be posted. I'm basically just going to expect that you pause this video and you go over there and you watch the video to install this dongle. If you don't have the same dongle as me, that's okay. The instructions will probably help you get a pretty good idea for how to do it yourself. And then again, if enough people comment about the same, I don't know if I said this before, if enough people comment asking me to make a video for the same dongle, I might buy the dongle and then just try to install it for everybody. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to cut the video now, go to the other video that shows you how to install the dongle, and then we'll continue. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video again. From the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate it. I do hope you did learn something and have some fun. If you could do me a small little favor, could you please subscribe and follow this channel or these videos or whatever it is you do on the current social media website that you're looking at right now. It would really mean the world to me, and it'll help make more videos and grow this community. So we'll be able to do more videos, longer videos, better videos, or just I'll be able to keep making videos in general. So please do me a kindness and subscribe. You know, sometimes I'm sleeping in the middle of the night and I just wake up because I know somebody subscribed or followed. It just wakes me up and I get filled with joy. That's exactly what happens every single time. So you could do it as a nice favor to me, or you could troll me if you want to just wake me up in the middle of the night. Just subscribe and then I'll just wake up. I promise that's what will happen. Also, if you look at the middle of the screen right now, you should see a QR code which you can scan in order to go to the website, which I think is also named somewhere at the bottom of this video. And it'll take you to my main website where you can just kind of like see all the videos I published and the services and tutorials and things that I offer and all that good stuff. And if you have a suggestion for clarifications or errata or just future videos that you want to see, please leave a comment. Or if you just want to say, hey, what's up? What's going on? You know, just send me a comment. Whatever. I also wake up for those in the middle of the night. I wake up in a cold sweat and I'm like, it would really mean the world to me. I would really appreciate it. So again, thank you so much for watching this video, and enjoy the cool music as I fade into the darkness which is coming for us all.